two of the bonnets here. I have the one with the rope, and I also have the one with the band. In this tutorial, I showed how to make both of them, so make sure you stick to the end of this video so you learn everything. These are the materials that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. I have 1 yard of shiny face, 1 yard of dull face, and 1 yard of a stretchy material. Most people use lycra for this, but use any stretchy material at your disposal. You can also make use of any Ankara material that you have. It doesn't necessarily have to be a plain material. A simple method I devised that you can use to cut your round circumference is to place both your materials on the ground, and when you are placing them, make sure they are right sides facing each other the way I'm demonstrating. Bend it over to the other side and make sure that it is well arranged on both ends. You are going to measure how wide you want your round circumference to be. I didn't want mine to be too wide, so I used 14. Later on, I discovered that it was too wide, so I would advise you, if you want something smaller, to use 12 or 13. I had already cut my material before I realized, what? It's not recording. I am so sorry, guys. Let's just pretend as if I've not cut it already. So I measured the length of my fabric to be 14. For the breadth, you are going to measure times 2 of that. That is 14 times 2 will give me 28, and the total breadth was 28. So I went to the other side and measured the same 14 so that I'll get a perfect rectangle. I'll go ahead and cut along those edges with my scissors. You know what? We agree that we are pretending. Now, this is what we had. I had my width to be 28 inches and I had my length to be 14 inches. Thank you very much for pretending with me. From grass to grace, from floor to table. I want to let you all know that whatsoever you are using for the length, you should times that by 2 and use it for the breadth. I hope I am clear. Just the same way I used 14 for my length and I times it by 2 to get my breadth, which was 28. So if you are using something like 15, you are going to times that 15 by 2 also, and you are going to use 30 as your breadth. I brought my fabric to my table still on a fold. Now the next thing we are going to do is to create our round circumference. You are going to bring it together like this, bring it together again, fold it again like that. You are folding it into 4 now, and you are going to be using the 14 inches length that I gave to determine how wide I want it to be. Place your tape at the tip of the fabric and measure 14 inches from one end to another, and as you measure, make sure that your tape remains on the tip. Once you're done with that, take your chalk and connect the lines like the architect that you are. And when you are done, you are going to have something that looks like a cone. Take your scissors and do the needful to it. After that, you are going to have something that looks this beautiful. So when I open it up, you are going to have something like this. Voila! If you place them right sides facing each other at the beginning, you're not going to have any problem at this stage because it's going to come out right sides facing each other already. But if this is not the case, you are going to have to align them right sides facing each other. And when you are done aligning them, you are going to pin it down and go to your sewing machine and sew. When you are sewing, remember not to sew it to the end because we are going to be leaving around 4 to 5 inches so that we'll be able to use it to pull it out, to turn it inside out. So since we are using 2 colors of fabric, we are going to make sure that we are using 2 threads, one on top and one at the bottom. So you are going to have something like this. The peach fabric will be on top while the black will be at the bottom. If you do that, when you are done sewing your fabric, you are going to have something that is looking like this. The black will be on the black side while the peach color will be on the peach colored side, and you have something that is looking neat. Don't you want something like that, my dear? If you want to slay well and slay finish. If you so desire, trim off the excesses you might have at the side. My excesses were not much, but I just decided to give it something, a nice finish. To turn it inside out, put your hand into the opening that you made. Your entire hand don't have to enter. Just drag the fabric to meet that place at the top, and then you are going to grab onto it with your 2 fingers, and you are going to bring it out and like this, and you are going to pull on it. This is a very simple and easy way. Trust me, just try it and you are going to love it. When you bring it inside out, you notice that the edges are not relaxed and it's looking rumpled. So you can go ahead and use your iron to press the edges and also give the entire fabric a good press, and you'd have something that looks like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is on the edges of my fabric, I'm going to measure 1.5 inch all around it. And when I'm done measuring the 1.5 inch, you are going to connect the lines that you made with your chalk, just the way you see me do on the screen. You are going to do that around your circumference. Now I know you can't see my chalk, but I know that you understand very well what I'm trying to do right here. Before you sew, don't forget to cover up the opening that you have. The only purpose that opening served was to help us turn it inside out when we are done stitching on the edge. Fold it inward and sew on top, and when you are done sewing, you are going to pleat it, and we are going to be sewing the pleats on the line that we made. Don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly what to do. So this is me top stitching or stitching on top of the opening that we have. You know, I told you are going to close it. This is how you are going to close it. So when you are done, you are going to have something that is looking like this. This is how we are going to be pleating it. You are going to be pleating it on the line that you marked, and you are going to sew on that line. And as you pleat, you are going to make sure that the next pleats align with the chalk mark that you have, so you can get something accurate. Now when you are pleating, you should take note of the kind of size you want your pleats to be. You can make it to be in a very small size like this, or if you so desire, you can make it a little bit medium or larger. But for me, the one I saw was small, the pleats were little, and I fell in love with it. So I'm just going to make my pleat little. Fold and sew on the line, on the chalk line that you mark. Fold again and sew on the chalk line that you mark. This is what you are going to be doing till the end. Make sure that you have something, even if you are not as accurate in the shape of the folds or the pleats, but just try as much as you can to make it accurate. Or something you can do is that you can actually measure. You can use your tape rule to measure the distance you want between one pleat and another. Let's take for example, I made a pleat like this, so I can put my tape on it and measure, okay, this pleat distance is 1/2 inch. The next pleat I'm going to make the distance 1/2 inch. But this method is quite stressful. You know, you have a lot of pleats to pleats and you are going to be measuring it. It's better to just use your initiative, and trust me when I tell you that this is going to take a whole lot of your time, pleating and pleating. You think that is something simple. I really wish this was how fast I was when I was doing it originally, but I ain't gonna lie, it ain't like this, bro. So this is what we're having. We're having something neat, because we use 2 threads, a color that matches the top and a color that matches the bottom. Now this is my final pleat. Man, was I joyous. Of course I was. I'm doing this tutorial so that I'll teach you how to do it and you will not make the same mistake that I made. When you are sewing, because this is my second time I'm sewing this, you can see where I loosed it. When you are sewing, make sure that you use the round circumference of your head for the pleat. As you can see, when I measured it like this, I had 11. My head round circumference is 22. When I sewed it at first, I noticed that it was too big. It's not going to give you something beautiful at all. When I sewed it at first, I was having 15 inches as my round circumference, and that was too much. So make sure that it's exactly the round circumference of your head if you want to have something perfect like this. I wish I had worn it before I loosed it so that you see what I was talking about. You see, the back was just falling. And I was done. I was done. I've already put band and everything. So make sure you don't make the same mistake that I made. Okay, make sure that is cut this just fitted to your head even when you have not put the band yet. Make sure that the pleats are pleated according to the round circumference of your head, but let it not be too tight so that it can still move a bit. This is my stretchy fabric. You can make use of any stretchy fabric at your disposal. You can use lycra, you can use any stretchy fabric, but most people use lycra. So if you have access to lycra, you can get a lycra. And the side that is more stretchy is the side that is going to be my longest side. I am using a total of 10 inches for my length, but you know that the fabric is on a fold, so I'm using 5. That's 10 divided by 2. And the width, please use 18, or just you know how big your head is. But when I used 20, it was too big for my head, so I just later reduced it to 18 inches when I was sewing it the second time, and that was when I got something that fitted me perfectly. So learn from all these my mistakes. So that's why we are watching this tutorial. So you are just going to open it up like this, and you are going to bend, fold it over, right sides facing each other. You are going to go over to your sewing machine and sew and close those ends like that. Now this is what I have, because it's me that sew it, it's not you. When I was done, now I was just praying that when I turn it to the other side, that pink thread, the peach thread, is not going to open and it's not going to show. What am I saying? And it didn't show. Thank God. So you are going to have something that is looking like this. It's 5 inches in length and the total width is 18 inches. So align them at the bottom and you are going to fix it on your cap. I went to match on top of the edges so that they will stay in place, but that is something I shouldn't have done because the parts I used thread for, was not stretchy. So now I'm just going to lose it and place it on my cap like that. You are going to place your band ½ inch away from the stitches you already have on your bonnet cap. And as you sew, make sure you stretch your stretchy fabric so that it will be able to go round the cap. As you sew, make sure you also sew on top of the first stitches that you have when you are pleating the top. And as you also sew, make sure you stretch your band, I'm saying this the second time, and sew on top like this. A trick to make it easy for you is that you should sew according to the direction of your pleats. My pleats are going down, so I'm sewing downwards according to the direction. I hope that you understand what I'm saying. Now we are done with this one. We are going to go over to the rope style. I'm going to teach you how to sew the one with the rope now. My guy, my G. If you are still watching, it's a sign that you find this tutorial really helpful. Do you know what you are going to help me do now? It's not much. You are just going to help me smash on that button by your left, and you're also going to smash that button by your right. I don't know where they but just they smash. Any button where you see, just they smash. Please, just do it now, okay? Just do it now. It takes nothing from you. Just smash on those buttons. Lao, lao. Thank you very much. So now that we are done with that, let's get over to this tutorial because this bonnet was very. In order for us to make the bonnet with a rope on it, there are a few changes that we need to make. We are going to lay them down right sides facing each other like we did for the previous one, and I know you already know how we arrived at a round circumference. You are going to go up on your round circumference at any side by 4 inches, and you are going to draw a straight line to the bottom. Just the same way we do a dart, on each side of that line, we are going to go out by 1 inch, and you are going to connect to the tip of the straight line that you have. Because I had rough tiles, I just put a book under it so that I'll be able to draw my line very well. And you notice that at the tip of my line, it's not a triangle, it's a curved triangle. So make sure yours is also curved like that. You can choose to cut out that line you just made, the U-shaped line you just made, but I don't like doing that. I like to first of all sew around it and then sew all through my round circumference and leaving just space so that I'll be using to pull it out before I trim the curve off, just the way you are seeing me doing on the screen. I'm just going to make little snips at the tip of the curve, and so that when I spread it out, it's going to relax very well. So I'm going to put my hand through the opening I made and I'll bring it inside out. I've already taught you how to do this in an easy way. Now after I'm done turning it out to the right size, what I will do next is to cover up the opening that I have. So how I like to do this is that I will sew on top of the curve that I have and then top stitch and then sew on top of the opening to close it. So now I'm done with this. This is what I have. I've top stitched it and I've also closed the opening. Now it's time for us to work on the band. My band is 30 inches long. That is, it's already on a fold, but when I open it up, I have 60 inches as the full length of my rope. That is because I want to be able to tie it all around my head. Place your tape on the part that is on a fold and you are going to measure your round circumference divided by 2. My round circumference was 22 divided by 2. I have 11. As you can see, I'm marking 11 at the bottom part, that is on the part where is opened. We are going to make a notch right there on all 4 pieces. Now we are going to open it up. We are going to turn it over and sew a straight line to get to the end. But before you get to the end, there is something I like to do. I like to draw a diagonal line measuring 2 inches straight to the top. So you do the same thing to the other side. Measure 2 inches inwards and with your ruler you are going to draw a diagonal line to the top of your rope. I am done sewing, and when I turn it to the other side, you can see the diagonal line that I had on both of the side. Don't mind my joining, my material no reach, so I can't join. So you are going to turn it inside out with anything that you have. I'm using a pencil, you can use a scissors. Turn it inside out and go to your iron and give it a good press so that everything will be relaxed. But if you don't have an iron to give it a good press, don't worry and don't mind this pink thread. They are not gonna know. No one's gonna know once it's turned over. See, my pink threads are nowhere to be found. Poof. So this is what we have. Now let's go ahead to work on the cap itself. I have 22 inches opening, which is the entire my head round circumference. On each end of the opening, I'm going to just mark it. I'm going to use a chalk to mark it so that I'll know where it is, and I will also make sure that the markings are showing on the other side. I'll just turn it over to the other side and also make a mark there so that the marks will be showing on both sides and it will give me proper direction. Now bend it over like this. I want you to pay proper attention because I don't want you to be confused. So this is the best way I want to explain it. So let me explain it again. After making the marks on both sides, we are going to bring it over. The marks are on both sides. We are going to bring it over, bring them together like this. The opening that you made for the round circumference, you are going to measure 1.5 inch because you are going to be pleating it. That will be the extra that's going to come out. You are going to measure 1.5 inches. That's the mark I just made right there. And you are going to place that side, that mark on it, but you're going to place it ½ inch above the 1.5 inch. Don't worry, when you are practicalizing this, it will be very simple for you. You are going to also do the same thing for the other side. You are going to measure 1.5 inches, just the way you are seeing me do on the screen. If you don't understand what I'm saying, you understand what I'm doing. And you are going to place the mark that you made on the rope right on that 1.5 inches, but you are going to put it ½ inch above it so that when you are sewing, you'll be able to sew on top. Now this is what you are going to be pleating the round circumference on. We are going to be pleating this round circumference all around this black rope. It will act as our guide when we are pleating so that we will not pleat too much. There are 2 different ways you can go about this actually. You can do this method I'm about to do now, pleat directly on the band, or you can first of all pleat the round circumference that you have before adding the rope band. But let's go with the first method first, where we will pleat directly on the band. I'm going to be pleating with 1.5 inch distance from the top. You already know how we do this. We are supposed to have this, mark this all around the edges of our round circumference. We'll measure 1.5 inch around it and we'll connect it with our chalk to give us a round curve around the curve. Okay, so I'm just going to place it on the screen so that you understand what I'm explaining. This is actually my second time sewing this. That's why you are seeing some threads. So anything I ask you to do in this video, please do it. I know what I'm talking about too. So when you are pleating, make sure you pleat according to the direction that it go allow you sew. So you can see I'm pleating this towards myself so that I'll be able to sew on top easily, because when I was pleating against myself, like those, my footer, my machine footer was the pleats were obstructing the movement, my dear. And English hard now, borrowed language, so just do whatsoever fits you. If you know that when you pleat the pleat against yourself, it will work for you. When you pleat the pleats to yourself, it will work for you. Just do anything that will work for you. And again, please make sure that the pleats are the same thing, like you are giving them the same distance. Not be say one go big, one go small. I'm talking about the folds. Okay, this will also go a long way in helping you. Like I said before, this is my second time sewing this, so I know what I'm talking about. If you want to achieve something really nice, make sure that the pleats are even, not just in sizes but in the fold. I'm not going to lie to you guys, this is my least favorite method. I mean, sewing the band and pleating them all together, doing double jobs. No, it's not, like, it didn't work for me. So when I noticed that it was not working for me, I just had to, lose it again and use the second method. When you are using the second method is a method where you have to pleat first before adding the band. When using the second method, you are going to make sure that after pleating, you are going to get exactly your head round circumference. And even if there is a difference, it should not be much difference. So when you are pleating, continuously measure so that you are going to get something accurate. For me, when I was done pleating and I measured, I had 21 and a half, and my round circumference is 22, so the difference was not much at all. I could actually do with that. I could deal with that. So after that, I went to mark the 21.5 inches distance on my band. Okay, you know that previously it was 22, but now it's 21.5, so I have to mark it, and it's the same thing. Okay, you mark on each point, you fold it over, you bend the two sides over, and then you pin that point on your bonnet just half inch above the stitches you already have on the already pleated bonnet. You are going to do that to both sides. You go over to your sewing machine and you sew all around it. I know that I've already explained this part before, so this is not something that will be difficult for you to grasp. When you are attaching your band to your bonnet through this method, you are going to make sure that you sew it on top of the stitches that you already have. So I used 1 yard to make 1 yard each, 1 yard of the pink and 1 yard of the black. I used it to make these two. So 1 yard can give you 2 like this. So just in case you want to sell it, you can sell it for 5k upwards, because it's going to take you time. It's actually going to take you time. You can sell it for a less amount, but please do something. Just put a price that you know that is worth your effort and the time that you put. This is a bonnet you can sell in 4 ways, and somebody is want to price you for 2k, 3k. I beg you.